Saludos, bienvenidos a la Puerta de Hulda, los caminos de los Anusim. Aquí le habla Pilar y también tenemos hoy a Daniel aquí al lado mío y en la cámara ya en Arizona tenemos a Joseph Basrawi. Hola Joseph.
Hey, how's it going?
Joseph tiene un programa para la Copa, en español sería la Copa El Vaso de Joe o The Cup of Joe. The Cup of Joe, ok, un podcast. Y lo puede encontrar en Facebook y lo puede encontrar también en Instagram. Él habla acerca de la política y él hace comentarios acerca de la política y la situación social, sociopolítica del país de los Estados Unidos y Israel. Él ha estado en Israel muchas veces y él es un embajador de Israel. Él va a Israel y apoya a Israel y va a las universidades y habla acerca de la situación en Israel y por qué Estados Unidos debe de apoyar a Israel, ¿no? Muchas razones, ¿verdad, Joseph?
Oh yeah, lots of reasons, lots of historical reasons that the Palestinian people don't have. And they say we don't have a history, and they say that we stole their culture, but in reality, the Palestinian people have never really existed, not to sound like a radical or anything. But the Palestinian culture never existed. They fabricated something from nothing. Yasser Arafat created Palestinian nationalism, which actually came out of nothing. It was a political marketing ploy to create a national movement out of something that doesn't have a nation. Back when it was called Palestine, it was under British control. Before that, it was under Jordanian control. Before that, it was under Ottoman control. Before that, it was under Roman control. Before that, it was under other people control. And then before all that, 2,000 years ago, it was called Israel. And then before that, it was called Judea and Samaria. And they have coins that are 2,000, 2,500 years old that have the word Israel in it or have the word Zion in it. There's nothing that said Palestine on it. Nothing that said Palestine on it more than 1,000 years ago. So, sorry to break it to you Palestinians. You don't have a culture. You don't have a national identity. You made something up. You're fake. You're a fraud. Sorry.
Bueno, más claro no lo podían explicar, ¿ok? Gracias por explicarlo en inglés. Hopefully I can translate this. Este video es para nuestros amigos de inglés. Joseph, ¿puedes decir todo eso en español? No. ¿Qué tú puedes decir en español algo? ¿Puedes decir algo en español? Tú hablas español porque tú pasaste las clases de español.
Yeah, but I don't speak Spanish that often. I don't live with you anymore. I don't live with grandma that much anymore. So I don't really speak Spanish that often. So I don't.
Porque cada vez que te preguntamos, Joseph, ¿tú hablas español? ¿Qué tú decías?
Un poquito.
Y decías algo más. Un número.
8.
8. y nosotros siempre nos preguntamos por qué decía Joseph 8, pero Joseph nació en el 8º día de Hanukkah.
Yep. I did. I was born on Shabbat and I was born on Hanukkah.
Yeah, en el 8º día.
I was also born on the day that Bill Clinton was impeached.
Por algo, que tienes eso.
It's a historic day.
Bueno,
volviendo al tema,
entonces Joseph, ahora mismo queremos que nos des información acerca de qué es lo que está pasando en Estados Unidos. Se está volviendo una nueva intifada. ¿Qué es lo que está pasando?
Well, you see, there's a lot of pro-Palestinian protests. There's a lot of pro-Israel protests as well happening around the country. I went to a pro-Israel protest here in Phoenix, and that was amazing. Lots of Jewish people, lots of Christian people showed up as well to support Israel. And it was a great time. There was a guy that did not like us that was driving past us, recording us and giving us the middle finger. And he got into a car accident while doing that. So I think that was really funny. But, you know, the next day or a couple of days later, I think it was the next day, there was a Nakba they call it, or a pro-Palestine. It's another made-up term that Palestinians have called Nakba, and it's a pro-Palestine
organization.
March ran by pro-Palestinian, pro-Muslim organizations, calling Israel, a terrorist, apartheid, white supremacist organization. I didn't go to that, but my friend did, and my friend, who is a 100% disabled veteran with PTSD, he was there supporting Israel, doing a counter protest, and he got choke slammed by a pro-Palestinian radical. Now he's not Jewish; he's a devout Lutheran, but this is what's happening to the allies of Israel, the supporters of Israel, and Jews specifically. We see in LA, what happened recently was a rabbi was being chased by a vehicle or two vehicles with waving pro-Palestinian flags, trying to hurt this man. We saw two former IDF soldiers in New York were attacked by Palestinian protesters in Manhattan. We had, I just posted a video, actually, this terrible thing of a Jewish man being beat up in the middle of a street in New York City by a group of pro-Palestinian people. This is happening over and over again. It's becoming another pandemic of anti-Semitism. And by the way, a lot of people don't know this, but Jewish people are the most hated group of people in the world, and that's a statistical fact. The most hate crimes are against Jewish people, and now we're seeing a massive increase happening from pro-Palestinian radicals. This is all being done because of the attacks happening in Israel, obviously, right? So, if you don't know what's happening in Israel, I mean, you live under a rock. But what's happening right now in Israel is Hamas, a terrorist organization out of Gaza, is shooting rockets and killing Israelis. And Israel is defending themselves and shooting rockets back and killing Hamas terrorists. So these people who are pro-Palestine, who are calling Israel a terrorist country and whatnot, these people are pro-Hamas essentially, right? You go to them and you ask them, do you condemn Hamas? And they either tell you two things, right? They say, no, I do not condemn Hamas. Or they say, I don't know much about Hamas. But they don't know anything about Hamas, but they're experts in the conflict. Okay. And if you are anti-Israel in this scenario right now, if you're anti-Israel, you are pro-Hamas. This is not a war between the Palestinian people and the Israelis. This is a war between a government, the Israeli government, and a terrorist organization called Hamas. And these people, they're saying that Hamas is a liberation movement, a Palestinian liberation movement. Couldn't be further from the truth. In 36 hours, Hamas shot 1,000 rockets into Israel. Out of the 1,000 rockets, 250 of those were misfires. Guess where those misfires went? Right back into Gaza, killing their own people, destroying their own land. But what is the media saying? The media is saying that those misfires are Israel's fault, and that Israel is causing the casualties of Palestinian people dying. It couldn't be further from the truth. So what's happening here is in America, and it's not only in America, it's in London, it's in Belgium, it's all over Europe, it's all over South America, and all over North America. These pro-Palestinian Nakbas, these protests, are happening, and they're getting more and more violent. They're calling for a third intifada. And an intifada is a
Explica qué es intifada.
It's a call for violence. What is it, Hunter? It's a call for violence against Jewish people and Israelis. Okay. And there were already two intifadas, one in the 90s, one in the 2000s. And they're calling for a third intifada. They say the third intifada must happen for the Palestinian people to be free. So here's the thing about free Palestine. Okay, well, let's play their game. Let's say the Palestinian people are real and they have agriculture and they have a land and all sorts of stuff. Let's play that game, right? Let's say that they are rightful for the land of Gaza and they're rightful for the land of Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank. Let's say that they should be there. They should have that land. Okay, then I agree with free Palestine. Free Palestine from the dictatorship and terrorist government of Hamas. From the dictatorship and the terrorist government of the Islamic Jihad of Palestine. Is the dictatorship and terrorist organization and government of the Palestinian Authority. These people are using their own as human shields when Hamas is shooting rockets. And Israel has to defend themselves, but what are they doing? They're holding kids up in the way so Israel can't do anything. And, you know, that's the thing. It's these people who are protesting here in America, over in Europe and everything, that are pro-Palestine. One, they don't know anything about Hamas. They don't know anything about the conflict. They just don't know, and that's fine. But what they don't realize is the real oppression that's happening is happening to the Palestinian people by the Palestinian government. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. You know, and they're getting more and more violent because they're getting brainwashed. And they think that Israel is doing everything that the Palestinian government is actually doing to their own people. So what do we have to do as Jewish people then? Well, here's the thing. We have a country called Israel. It's the size of New Jersey and it's surrounded by enemies. Okay? But if you live in America and you're Jewish, you don't live in Israel, right? We're not at that safe haven for Jews.
Exactly.
The Jewish people have made a mistake for many years. Okay? We get attacked every 100 years or so, right? A big attack happens to us, right? The Holocaust, the Russians, the English with the Black Plague, the Inquisition in Spain. It happens, right? For some reason, every 100 years, there's one big thing that happens to the Jewish people. What's the one mistake we make? We comply. We say, okay. We say, whatever, it's fine, it's going to pass. Don't worry. No, it's fine. We don't fight back. And when we do fight back, for example, in Poland, when we had there was a retaliation against Nazi Germany in Poland by Jews in the ghetto, what happened? It didn't work because it was too late. We were already in the ghetto. We were already getting sent to Auschwitz. It was too late. So we cannot make that mistake again today and just take the punches. Now, I'm not saying as Jews, let's go and find Palestinians and beat the living hell out of them. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is when they come and they try to hurt us, we need to defend ourselves. We cannot just sit there and wait for the police anymore. I had a friend of mine who works for the Daily Wire. He tweeted out, and I retweeted it actually. He said, if you're Jewish right now, I recommend you buy a firearm and you conceal carry and you take training immediately. Immediately. I agree with that. If you live in a communist state like New York or California, carry something. Carry pepper spray. Carry a knife. Carry a taser. Carry something to defend yourselves and take classes. Because at this point, what I've been seeing happening to my own people in this country, right? What's supposed to be the land of free, land for all people. It's appalling to see that. And the first thing I notice when I see these videos, it's not, oh my God, it's terrible. The Palestinian people are beating up Jewish people. It's, why the hell is he not doing anything to defend himself? Honestly, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. So if you're Jewish and you're watching this, and I don't encourage you to be scared of these people. I don't encourage you to give in to them, right? I wear a yarmulke every day. You think I'm going to stop wearing one?
I know.
She wants me to stop wearing one now for my safety, and I get it. It's a motherly thing. But the problem is, if I take this off and I go in public, they're winning. They're winning. They want me to do that. They want me to give up my Jewish identity. That's what they want me to do. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wear it. Okay.
Okay. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So what I'm saying is the main thing is keep your Jewish identity, be proud to be Jewish, and defend yourself against these monsters. Plain and simple.
Educate yourself so you can answer these people. How you can answer when they come to you. And we're talking to Christian people too. You know, the people that support Israel, sometimes they get confronted with pictures and fake news that are not true. So educate yourself and explain. Look, hace poco we saw Israel provide a phone call with Hamas saying, we're gonna destroy this building. You need to move your children, your family from there. And they say no. Dani puede explicarlo. Dani lo escuchó mejor.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah. The video explains that, you know, in the call, that the way that they responded to the calls of evacuating the building was that they really wanted to be killed. If the children die, because they need to die, they'll die. But fine, they were okay with it. Now, we have to take a look at the difference between a philosophy, a religious philosophy that worships death, and a religious philosophy that worships life and the right to life.
I think that the question here is, do you believe, right? Well, first off, it's culture, right? What is culture? Culture is not just food and languages and stuff like that. It's religion and morals and values, right? I believe that there are some cultures that are superior in the moral and value sense than other cultures, right? I believe that the culture in Gaza is not as good as the culture in Israel, right? The culture in Israel is very similar to the culture here in America, right? Where women have full rights, gay people are able to marry and do whatever they want. Even Palestinians who live in, or Arabs who live in Israel have full and complete rights. And here's actually the thing. They have more rights than Jews in Israel because they don't have to join the military. They're not forced to, but every Jew is. Just saying, putting that out there. But
and
still,
they are
Arabs
part of the
join
parliament. And they part of the parliament. They had a political party.
They have a party that is anti-Israel in the Knesset that votes against Israel every time. They have voting power. They're just not that big, but they have voting power and they have a party and they're elected. So they have a very similar culture to here in America, where you are pretty much free to do anything you want, socially and politically. And an Arab who lives in Israel can open up a business, can go to college, can do anything they want, can become a politician. But there's no Jews in Gaza. Why? Because they made the Israeli government move all the Jews out of Gaza. How many Christians are in Gaza? Zero. So the main thing here, how many Druze are in Gaza?
None.
There's none. How many Bedouins are in Gaza? None. They're none. It's funny. The left, right? The Democrats and the left, they come after Jews like me who are Zionists, and they say, "Oh, Israel is ethnically cleansing the Palestinian people." That's not true. The Palestinian population has gone up since 1967. We're going by 1967 lines and everything, or post 1967. It has gone up from 3.5 million, I believe, to 5.5 million. It has gone up. The Jewish and Christian population in the West Bank and Gaza has gone down. And when they tell me about ethnic cleansing, I ask them the same question. How many Jews are in Gaza? How many Christians are in Gaza? How many Druze are in Gaza? How many Bedouins are in Gaza? Okay. How many Muslims are in Gaza? Oh, it's the entire population. It's the entire population. So they are about an ethno-state, an ethno-cleanse. In the Hamas charter, they don't talk about Israel, by the way, in the Hamas charter. When it comes to destroying a group of people, they don't say Israelis. They don't say the Israeli government. They don't say the Israeli country, right? They say the Jewish people. They will destroy and wipe the Jewish people off the face of the earth, is what they say. They said that they will not stop until every Jew is wiped off the face of the earth. That every rock and tree will scream out and say, "Oh, Muslim servant of Allah, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him." This has nothing to do with land anymore. This has nothing to do with Israeli and Palestinian. This has to do with a radical jihadic Muslim organization that wants to kill and destroy the Jewish people. Not the Israelis, the Jewish people.
Any place that you are.
It doesn't matter if you're in America, if you're in Europe, if you're in Israel, if you're in Africa or anywhere. It doesn't matter. you are Jewish, they want you dead. They don't care about it anymore. They don't care about the land. It's never been about the land. That's one thing people don't understand. It's never been about the land. Because here's the thing. If it had to do with the land, right? After 1948, when Israel was Independence Day, right? Ben Gurion's doing his speech, right? Oh, we declare independence. The next day, a bunch of Muslim countries that's not their problem went to war. They went to
With
war.
Israel.
Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, Jordan. 5 countries went to war. And none of those countries lost land because of this deal. It was not their problem. So why they do it? They did it because they want to destroy the Jewish people. Plain and simple. It's never, ever, ever about land. Israel has given up land for peace, and it's never worked. So I believe what Naftali Bennett, what Netanyahu has to do, and the rest of the Knesset, honestly, this might sound a little bit radical, but it's becoming a normal opinion now in the Zionist movement because we're pissed off. It was a mistake for us to pull out of Gaza in 2004. It's time to take back Gaza and wipe Hamas off the face of the earth.
Posiblemente estás liberando también a los árabes musulmanes que viven en Gaza, porque en Gaza la gente piensa que todos están a favor de tirar estos cohetes y esto, pero sabemos que en Gaza mucha gente ha sido asesinada y familias y hombres muertos porque los acusan de conspirar en contra de Hamas a favor de Israel. Entonces, si tú criticas, aunque sea un poquito, a Hamas, es pena de muerte allá. Ellos andan con mucho miedo. También escuché de que tú ves estas celebraciones que celebran, el lavado de cerebro que tienen a los niños desde pequeños. Entonces, lo que me preocupa es que Estados Unidos, bajo el presidente Trump, no pararon los fondos, ¿okay? Que iban a motivar este dinero y esta cosa, pero ahora se está hablando de que esta nueva administración va a cambiar todo eso. So, José, te pregunto, ¿qué tú opinas del escuadrón del Senado y la Casa de Representantes, AOC?
Squad, the squad. Yeah. What I think about them?
Escuadrón, ¿no?
So I was just with Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene yesterday, and what she said was really interesting. She told AOC, if you are supporting, and she told AOC, Ilhan Omar, and Rashida Tlaib the same thing. She said, if you are supporting a terrorist organization in the Middle East that wants to kill Americans and wants to kill our ally Israel, you do not belong in Congress.
She should go to jail then.
Well, no.
That's my opinion.
No, that goes against the Constitution. But you have to understand, you should not be in Congress. And she went a little further than that. She said, even if you support domestic terrorist organizations like Black Lives Matter and Antifa, you shouldn't be in the Congress. But what I think is interesting, I mean, you see many years ago when AOC was first running for office, and I believe it was 2018, she had an interview, a TV interview, and they asked her, because she the day prior she tweeted about Israel. She called it an apartheid state or something. And they asked her, I said, what is your opinion on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? She goes, well, I'm actually not really an expert in the geopolitical, geopolitics of that area. But now she has an opinion about it. Here's the thing. There are too many people with opinions nowadays. I tell these people who you really don't know what you're talking about to just shut up, because you're spreading this misinformation right now about a delicate conflict that's been happening for thousands of years, right? You can't just study the last 75 years and think you're an expert in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. You have to look at the last 2,000 years to understand the conflict itself. And AOC needs to stop talking and honestly get out of Congress. Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar outright supporting a terrorist organization, Hamas, and the Palestinian Authority. When they were going to go to Israel, when Rashida was going to go to Israel with Ilhan, they were going to meet with Hamas, and they were going to meet with the Palestinian Authority and the Islamic Jihad. They weren't going to meet with the Knesset. They weren't going to meet with Netanyahu or Naftali Bennett or Gantz or anything like that. They were meeting with terrorists that hate America.
Eso quiere decir, ¿cómo tú puedes ser parte del Congreso y no, si yo hago eso, a mí me abren una carpeta en el FBI? Inmediatamente me ponen en una lista mala.
They're Democrats.
I understand. I understand, but you understand my point, ¿no? Por ejemplo, el senador o representante de California que andaba con una mujer de origen asiático, china, ¿no? Y ella era una espía y él andaba con ella, ¿ok? Y esta información a él no se le hizo nada, pero si a mí me pasa eso, yo traigo consecuencias. Entonces hay dos estándares aquí. Uno para el ciudadano normal y el otro es para los demócratas o los izquierdistas, debo decir.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you look at the Democrats in the House and the Senate, right? They're treated very differently, but it's also that those people are treated the exact same as the people who were rioting and looting last year all summer in our major cities, right? Those people who got arrested were released within 24 hours. Right? They have no charges now. They're completely fine. But right now, there was a terrible riot that happened in the Capitol January 6th, a terrible riot. But now you have 435 people arrested for that one riot because they're all Republicans. But all the people who burnt and looted businesses last year are free with no charges. They're completely fine.
Businesses y también se tomaron la policía, se tomaron lugares también, el courthouse, se tomaron lugares de gobierno también. So, una de las cosas que estaban diciendo era que ellos no habían hecho daños a una entidad gubernamental, pero sí le hicieron, hay pruebas de eso también. So, tienes razón, José. ¿Y tienes preguntas?
Well, I just wanted to bring it up when you said to get up and defend yourself when these attacks are happening throughout America and throughout Europe and other countries. The only problem that I see with that is the great majority of the times they attack one or two people in a group of people, 6, 7, 8 people come and attack. So it's very difficult for you to defend yourself when you have a mob of people attacking you. So yes, sometimes retaliation is not the answer. Sometimes retreat is the answer, is what I mean. So I don't mean that you go ahead and run away.
They did run away and they caught up as they're coming in groups.
That's the problem. So what? How are you gonna confront a group when you know if the group gets a hold of you, you're gonna get beat up?
Carry 2 mags.
Sometimes
you don't have enough time.
Right, but we understand. No, yo entiendo tu punto. Tú sabes, tú eres un joven que estuviste en la marcha por los vivos, the March of the Living, donde tú estuviste en Poland y estuviste en Auschwitz. Así se pronuncia.
Auschwitz.
Yeah. Y entonces también estuviste en Israel. Entonces, ¿hay viento allá?
Yeah.
Y estuviste, me acuerdo que tú viniste y dijiste que cuando saliste de América, de Nueva York, creo que fue que salió tu avión en la marcha de los vivientes.
Yeah.
Tan pronto el avión despegó, anunciaron que ustedes en este momento estaban protegidos por Mossad y eran considerados ciudadanos israelíes en todo momento. A ustedes los educaron, tú eres un joven educado en defender a Israel. Yo me siento muy orgullosa de ti por eso, tu papá también, y te apoyamos en todo lo que tú haces y lo que tú dices y abuelo dice que él también. Así que entiendo, tú sabes que eso que tú estás hablando, eso tiene que ver con mami. Eso viene la sangre de los de gracia, de los faditas, you know. Ok, papi también.
You told me to take my yarmulke off, and I said, Mom, I'm not doing that. So I don't know about that.
Okay, that's a mommy scared thing, yeah, mommy protection.
It's much
but, sí, pero yo no corro.
Well, here's the thing. If you're Jewish right now and you are not supporting Israel, you have to think twice about your identity. You have to think twice about who you really are.
Very good.
If you are Jewish, you're a proud Jew, and you're scared right now, don't be scared. These people are disgusting people. They're losers. They don't have a life. And there's no reason for you to be scared over these losers. If they come after you, do what you have to do to stay alive. Do what you have to do. Make sure you get on recording too, or make sure someone else has it recording. Because if we don't expose these people who supposedly want peace, but want to beat the hell out of Jews at the same time, we're never going to win this. So they don't want peace. They don't want land. They want to kill. And we know that. If Israel really wanted war, Hamas would have never existed. And Gaza would have never existed either. The West Bank wouldn't have existed, and Israel would still have the Sinai Peninsula.
Mm-hmm.
If Hamas wanted peace, they wouldn't have shot 3,000 rockets into Israel the other day.
No.
So in conclusion, the Jews want peace. The Palestinians don't. And I think we're going to win this. I'm not too worried.
Okay. When violence, cuando estoy escuchando mucha gente diciendo, excusando la conducta de los palestinos o de los Hamas, debo decir, terroristas palestinos o Hamas, diciendo que, oh, sí, está matando gente, pero es que ellos, y lo excusan, they excusing their killing by saying that they are being oppressed. When violence against innocent is okay. And my answer is only when it's the violence against you, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The main thing right now.
Estamos viendo tu cámara.
Yeah. The main thing about this is, okay, Israel has military bases, right? We know that. They're a first world country. They have military bases are all around Israel. There's even an American base in Israel. So if this is a war, and if this is about land, and if this is really about what Hamas is talking about, and what the media is talking about, then why isn't Hamas targeting the military bases? Like really, like that's an actual question. Because if this is really war, you go after the military, right? Military versus military. Okay. So why isn't Hamas attacking the Iron Dome system? Why aren't they attacking the military bases? No, they're not. What are they attacking? They're attacking Tel Aviv, Ashkelon, Sderot, Haifa, all of these cities full of just people that don't have military bases. And it's just people. And what a lot of people don't realize, because they're ignorant, is you look at these cities, Tel Aviv and Ashkelon and Haifa and all sorts of stuff, it's full of Muslims, of Christians, of Jews, of seculars, of Druze. It's not a Jew. You have to understand, Israel is not founded to be a religiously Jewish country. Benjamin Ben-Gurion and even Theodor Herzl, the founder of the Zionist movement, He never mentioned about a religious country. He said an ethnically Jewish country. It is a secular Jewish country, plain and simple. So yes, we have seculars in Tel Aviv. People who don't believe in God live in Israel. People who are Muslims live in Israel.
Christian.
But they're attacking their own people. Christians live in Israel. Druze, Bedouins. I mean, there's everyone lives in Israel. And a lot of people, they say, you know, when they talk about America, talk about diversity, right? They say, look at our Olympic team and compare it to everyone else's. We have every single color in the skin spectrum, right? And you look at China, they're all the same. You look at Russia, they're all the same. You look at Germany, they're all the same. In England, they're all the same, blah, blah, blah. Look at Israel. In Israel, you have a little bit of a different type of diversity. In the Israeli Olympic team or the Israeli baseball team or whatever, you see Muslims, Jews, Christians, Druze, Bedouins. That's Israel. Israel. Maybe not Bedouins, but that's Israel. Israel is not a religious Jewish country. It is a secular country. It was founded to be that way. And it's for all people.
For people.
Just like America. Just like America. So when people say that Israel is an apartheid state, that Israel is ethnically cleansing Palestinians, shut the hell up. You don't know what you're talking about. Go to Israel and see it for yourself.
Yeah.
Honestly. There's so many people on Instagram and TikTok, oh my God, that are just, they post one infographic, and all of a sudden they're an expert. They're an expert in this.
Viento. Qué raro, en Arizona hay mucho viento así.
No, in the last few days there's been a lot of wind now.
Acá
It's cold
también.
outside. It's like 75 degrees.
Oh, nice.
That's nice. You're happy.
Really nice
You're
outside.
coming from Pennsylvania.
So
very nice
one
outside.
thing that I wanted to share is that we contacted, you know, my brother, my sister, and some friends that we have in Israel to find out how they were doing. And my brother and my sister, they said everything is fine. They were not called to serve this time. That everything was fine. But we talked to a specific friend of ours.
You know
that the only thing he said is like, no, everything is normal, everything as usual. And then he turned around and says, and when you're moving over, when you're coming over, you know. So that is the mentality of most of the Jewish people in Israel. They do want all the Jewish people to come back to Israel. And it is the goal of every Jewish family to one day return.
I can see the ear.
To one day return to Israel. So I didn't give him an answer right away. I said not just yet, but it's something that might be the horizon for us.
So it's okay for Jewish not to be afraid that they're planning to do Aliyah, to continue the Aliyah?
No. You're gonna be fine. We have an Iron Dome. It's 90% effective. You're fine. And
like
not to mention, no, the vaccine is not effective. So here's the thing.
It's okay. He's a Israeli though, so.
Here's the thing, right? So a lot of these people that I've talked to recently in the last few days, they've always they're calling me. They're like, "What the hell's happening in Israel?" And I'm like, it's normal. It's whatever." And they're like, "This is normal." I'm like, "Yeah, like you didn't see this coming. Like it was the end of Ramadan. Yeah, you're gonna have attacks."
Always.
I always tell the story to my friends when I was in Sederot a few years ago. We're looking around and I see there's a lot of bus stops everywhere. You know those bus stops that you have like a little bench inside and a little shade inside. So there's a lot of bus stops in this town. Like it's in every single corner of every block. There's a damn bus stop, and there's not a lot of buses. Like I don't know why there's so many bus stops. And it turned out that those weren't bus stops. Those were bomb shelters.
Oh.
And we're talking to, if you guys don't know where Sderot is, here's Gaza. Sderot's right here.
Yeah, we've been there. We
1 mile.
went.
It's 1 mile from Gaza. And I'm looking around and I'm like, these are bomb shelters. He goes, yeah, they're every corner of every block. I'm like, well, why? Well, we have less than 10 seconds to go to a bomb shelter, so we have to put so many everywhere. I'm like, well, wow, that's insane.
In
that's
the
actually
playground.
crazy.
In the playground.
Well, yeah, they're everywhere. But what I'm saying is, and some of the people were telling us that the kids, they dig holes for fun. And when you ask them, what are you digging, right? Are you digging for treasure? Or no, they're digging a bomb shelter. They'll tell you that. This is normal for Israelis. It's not good, and it shouldn't be normal, but it is normal. And that's what a lot of Americans need to understand. And a lot of Americans, I always said this, I said this the past couple of days to my friends. I said, well, okay, God forbid there's a rocket attack from Tijuana to San Diego.
Wow.
Right? If you live in San Diego, what would you want your government to do?
To defend
yourself. I would want my government to attack Tijuana. I would want my government to defend my city. And if New Jersey was attacking New York, New Jersey wouldn't exist. That's how it should be. It should be, if there is an attack, it is not a whose fault is it? It's clear. There's no question. It's time to defend ourselves. It's time to retaliate and attack back. And that's what I think Israel should be doing. I think the ceasefire.
That was my next question. What do you think about the ceasefire?
It's a mistake.
Well, I don't think it will last too long.
It's not. It's already broken.
It's already broken. Yeah.
Not officially, but there's already shots being fired. Like it took 2 hours.
Escuché.
Yeah.
So why do you think it's a mistake?
What is a ceasefire? This ceasefire is a non-conditional ceasefire. Okay? There's no conditions in the ceasefire other than please don't shoot us, right? How dumb is that? How dumb is that? So typically in a ceasefire, what you do is you say, okay, we're going to stop shooting each other and you're going to stop getting weapons and I'm going to remove my troops from this area. That's a ceasefire. There's conditions. In this case, there's no conditions. So what is happening?
Why they put the ceasefire? It was pushed by the United Nations, by our new administration?
Egypt.
Egypt
brokered the deal. So here's the thing. Now what's happening? Hamas now has the opportunity to, 1, make more tunnels, 2, get more weapons, 3, get better positions to shoot at Israel, and 4, recruit more people because all these families are dead now. So now we're going to get the pissed off sons and daughters and uncles and stuff like that lost their family members, and we're going to recruit them and they're going to go and fight against Israel. That's what's going to happen the next however long this thing lasts.
So now they're going to regroup.
They're going to regroup. They're going to stock up on weapons. They're going to build more tunnels, and they're going to recruit more people.
Oye, also I want to use now this time to say that it's a fake news. Please don't listen to fake news. Go to the real news. It's not true that Israel is stopping help for Gaza. Tons of food and medicine is coming to Gaza, and it's still coming.
No, they're not actually. So here's what's happening.
Acaban de enseñar.
Here's what's happening. Yes, Israel is sending trucks into Gaza with medicine and water and food and generators and all sorts of stuff.
Por eso.
Hamas is telling the trucks to go away.
Yeah.
I've seen the trucks go before from Sderot into Gaza. And then I see them 10 minutes later going back.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's what's happening. Israel is not denying the help. It's Hamas who denies the help to the same Palestinians that they claim to be protecting.
Pero la media dice que Israel no está permitiendo. That's not true.
They're creating a victimhood mentality and a victimization of something that doesn't exist, right? And they're creating a problem, right? Which is one thing we have to understand too. Gaza is one of the most dense cities in the world, which means that everyone's really close to each other, right? It means disease goes like that, right? Everywhere. I bet COVID was terrible in Gaza. I don't know. But when you have those people so close to each other with no food, with no water, and then you give them an answer and you say, the reason why is because they're not letting you get food and water. Now they're going to get pissed off. Now they're lying to them. Because in reality, the food and water is coming, but they're saying, go back. Go back. If any of your viewers have time, tell them to go to and watch Gaza TV, like actual TV from Gaza. They have their own channels and stuff. They don't have Fox News or CNN or any of that. They have their own TV sanctioned by the Hamas government. Just watch it with subtitles, English subtitles, and try to understand what's going on. They're brainwashing their own people. Mm-hmm. And, this is one thing, they're not only brainwashing their own people, they're brainwashing the world because of what they're doing. They're very good at marketing. And I never, ever, ever like to compare something or someone to Nazis. But in this case, with the propaganda, with the hatred against Jews, with the beating up of Jewish people, a lot of this looks and sounds like the brown shirts in the 30s, where they're going to the streets and they're asking people if they're Jewish, and if they reply yes, or they're wearing a yarmulke or have a Star of David necklace, they're going to beat the hell out of them. This sounds a lot like the brown shirts.
Well, it's the same thing that happened in the 1930s when the Nazi government started controlling the media, controlling everything that the people should see and how to see.
Well, that's why I said the brown shirts.
Mm-hmm.
This is and that mentality is here in America. They see you and they want to attack you and kill you. And I agree with you. We cannot allow that, and we have to tell our government, our administration, that they need to protect the Jews here in America. We are CDC.
There's been absolute silence.
What you say?
From Joe Biden.
Nothing.
Absolute silence from Joe Biden. Absolute silence from Kamala Harris. Absolute silence from Cuomo, from Newsom, from de Blasio. Come on, say something. Like just say something. Like it's actually appalling. And this is one thing that I have to tell our Democrat Jews out there. The Democrat Party doesn't give a damn about you. They don't. Chuck Schumer and Bernie Sanders, Democrats and Jewish, by the way, are trying to stop the sale of weapons to Israel to defend themselves right now. Okay? Now, that's fine. They'll take the side of Hamas, but I hope that the Jewish voter base understands that this is not going to change. And truly, what the hell do you have to lose to vote for the other guy, or to vote for the other party? Because Trump was the most pro-Israel president this country has ever had. And the Republicans right now are one of the most pro-Israel people I've ever seen in Congress. Amazing people like Andy Biggs, who just did a phenomenal event last night and did a phenomenal event yesterday talking about the hatred against Jews in America, talking about the situation in Israel. I happen to know Andy Biggs, Congressman Andy Biggs, really well. He stands with Israel. The Republican Party stands with Israel. Trump stands with Israel. The Democrats stand with Hamas and terrorism. It's very clear. It's very clear.
Bueno, vamos a dejarlo ahí. No, tremendo para terminar esto. It's very clear who you're going to stand, who you're going to vote for 2022. ¿verdad? Si tú crees en los valores de Israel, si tú apoyas a Israel y tú crees que Hamas es un grupo terrorista y que no está ayudando para nada a los árabes o los musulmanes, por el contrario, los está explotando y violentando, tú sabes por qué tienes que votar en 2022, no podemos dejar que siga, además de que Israel bendice al mundo, bendice a Estados Unidos y es una bendición. Estados Unidos también bendecir a Israel, somos amigos de muchos años y eso es fuerte, ¿no? Y tenemos que seguir aumentando eso. No hubo ningún otro presidente que yo haya conocido en la historia que haya apoyado a Israel como el presidente Trump. Sabemos que hubo un presidente que ayudó a Israel en el momento de la guerra, mandándole tanques y eso, pero uno que se haya parado y haya dicho, bueno, decían que Trump, cuando Trump llegara, esto iba a haber un caos y iba a explotar una guerra, y por lo contrario, hubo más paz, no pudo haber, Israel, había mucha paz en el Medio Oriente. En cambio, llega esta administración 100 días y ya el caos en el mundo entero, incluyendo en Israel. Y yo, ¿verdad? A mí no me gusta se dice, entonces, pero yo creo que si Trump estuviera en poder en la Casa Blanca, quizás lo hubieran pensado 2 o 3 veces para hacer la extensidad de estos ataques, ¿no? Lo bueno que Israel dijo, no importa qué presidente esté en América, we will defend ourselves. Y esa es la mentalidad que tenemos que tener los judíos aquí en Estados Unidos.
Correcto. Y una cosa que quiero yo añadir es que debemos estar pendientes a nuestro alrededor de las cosas que están pasando para no
ser víctimas.
Para no ser víctimas y entrar en una situación de la cual no podemos salir bien. Tenemos que estar pendientes y estar siempre alertas.
Este es papi hablando.
Semper Fi. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi, dice Grandpa. Bueno, Jose, gracias por estar con nosotros y por darnos tanta información, provide so much light to this darkness time, and to support Israel and to be a shofar to the nation, talking about what Israel should do, ¿no? Y qué los judíos deben de hacer en este momento. Sabemos que tú tienes muchos ataques que te han molestado mucho por ahí y tú no te rindes, tú sigues y no callas, y te admiramos por eso, te queremos mucho y te queremos sano y salvo, y cuídate mucho, ¿ok? Que los ángeles de Hachén acampen contigo y te protejan siempre.
Love you.
¿Algo más?
No.
No, muchas gracias, y dale un beso a Hunter. Está por ahí, ¿verdad? O ya se fue. Bye, chao, thank you.